In the previous video, we looked at performing the DBE analysis as a part of closing out the bid file. Another aspect of closing for many jobs will be to close out the alternates and determine the alternate prices by doing an alternates analysis. At the bottom of the summary view, you can see the different tabs for the different alternates that are set up for this bid file, and an analysis that includes putting the low base bidder's alternate bids in the alternates and looking for derived bid opportunities can be performed by going to the alternates analysis window. I open the window by clicking on the alternates analysis button on the toolbar, and what I see is a list of tabs for all of the matrices that have alternates attached to the base bid. And by looking at these, I can see the solution in green and where the solutions are falling out in the alternates. Alternate by alternate, or matrix by matrix, I can require the bids in the alternates, and I can require all of the low base bidders' alternate prices in the alternates with the click of one button, the Require an All button. The second half of the analysis is to look for a derived bid. Let me close this window, open the tabular window where I see that alternate 1 building addition is at $185,000, and keeping that in mind, I'll go back to my alternates analysis window and I will require the low base bidder's alternate bids in all of the alternates. You can see that they turn blue. The system will search for the lowest possible combination of low base bidders to be used in the alternate, performing an analysis that crosses those boundaries, which means that there may be tens of thousands of possible combinations to come to the correct solution. And as you can see, that analysis was performed in just a couple of seconds. I'll close this window, go back to the tabular window, and what I see here now is alternate 1 is now at $209,192. The price of the alternate went up because the low base bidder's alternate bids were not the same thing as the lowest possible bid for an alternate and for that matrix. Thus, we could expect some premiums to be used to force the low base bidder's alternate bids into the alternates. I'm going to close the tabular window and go back to the alternates analysis to look at the second half of the equation. The first half is to force in the low base bidders. The second half is to look for opportunities where the low base bidders' alternate bids are so much higher than another base bidder's bid and their alternate bid that there is a condition that exists that we call a derived bid. By clicking at the bottom tab here that compares the base bids plus an alternates bids, I get a different window that shows me where people's numbers are when I add a base bid and an alternate and come to a total to see if there's a bid advantage to use a non-low base bidder, and what is the derived bid, or the amount that we will bid the alternate at in order to take advantage of that mathematical calculation. Now, I can look through each of these matrices and each of the alternates, in which case if there were 25 matrices and 8 alternates, it could be 200 different possible combinations of screens. That would be quite a few, and in a very tight time frame like a big closing time frame, that would be almost improbable to achieve. I can click on the overview button here in the bottom left hand corner. It will show me the list of the matrices in the rows, the alternates in the columns. Anywhere that I see money in one of these cells, at the cross section is a point where a derived bid is available to be used in this bid file. By clicking on the $9,870 in the mechanical cell for alternate 1 and then double clicking on it, I will go specifically to that combination of the alternate and the mechanical matrix and see that a non-low base bidder in this case Fairway, has a cheaper price and a derived bid is possible on this particular matrix. On all those cells that had a blank, there was not a better deal than using the low base bidder in conjunction with their alternates as compared to another base bidder. Here you can see that Stirrit has solutions for the base bid and alternate that totals $1,015,000. Fairway's base bid solution and alternate solution totals $1,005,000, and therefore there's a bid advantage to switch to Fairway of $9,870, and the amount to bid the job for the alternate would be the derived bid amount of $56,650. When I add the derived bid amount to Stirrit's base bid solution, it comes to the total of the base plus alt for Fairway. If there's a subcontractor listing involved, you may be able to say, if the owner takes alternate number 1, I'm listing Fairway in place of Stirrit. Some bids, if the owner selects an alternate, all of the listings are off. They are no longer the best possible deal. In other bids, you must accept whoever you listed with their alternate bids. This system will keep the subcontractors from giving you a low base bid and a very high alternate bids with the hopes of you using their alternate bid into your alternate total solution, and thus when they get awarded the contract, they'll make a fat penny on the alternate. To implement the derived bid, I click on the derived bid itself, and that highlights the used derived bid button at the bottom of the screen. I click on it, and a new bid is placed into the matrix that is called the derived bid for Fairway and alternate 1. This has written that derived bid amount into the mechanical matrix, overriding the existing solution for alternate number 1, adjusting alternate number 1's total by a fixed amount of money, and putting in that special purple color into the matrix. When I close this window and I go back to the matrices view and I go to the mechanical matrix, what I'll see is in alternate 1 a derived bid for Fairway alternate 1 in a purple color. It is the complete solution amount for alternate 1, so that when I take the base bid and alternate 1, add them together and unwind them, I'll write a contract to Western State on the sprinklers and a contract to Fairway on the plumbing, HVAC, and gas piping in the base bid. This is a very sophisticated analysis that the software is doing in just moments time. Of course, you only have moments to change your bid and alter it so that you have the most competitive bid number. There are prime bid users who have told me that they have gotten a bid by using the derived bid analysis to cheapen the alternates up and still have a legitimate number, and then on the basis of award of the alternates, they have been low where they were not low just on the base bid alone. Going back to the summary view and going back to the tabular window, we now see that our total for alternate 1 is $198,711. So thus we've dropped the price on this alternate. We're bidding it more competitively, and that will give us a leg up when it comes down to the contract award, especially if that alternate comes into play. Prime bid is going to give you the best analysis in the base bid using the subcontractors that you've selected with the different decisions that you've made of requiring or excluding subs. And it's also going to give you the best analysis on the alternate total bid amounts, which are also potentially a part of the owner's decision as to who to award the contract to. This is a complete system. It's a multi-user system, includes the base bids and the alternates in one piece of software so that you won't have to do any work on the side in another application, thus taking your focus away from the bid day analysis. This sophisticated analysis is unique to Prime Bid and hasn't been seen in any bidding software before. On the next video, we will continue to look at closing out the bid by looking at the different elements that would come into play on the bid documents found in the tabular window.